Hi everybody, welcome back to the Hollywood Actor's Guide to Surviving the Film and TV Industry. I am your host, Jennifer Lynn Warren, an actress living here in Los Angeles, a sometimes working actor, then not working actor, then working actor again, and not working actor again. And I think that makes me singularly qualified to help you with the ups and downs and the emotional roller coaster that is the film and TV industry, because I know what it's like to spend a couple years having that SAG insurance and going to conventions and signing autographs and living that life and thinking that it's going to be easy, and then for all of that to end and for it to happen again and for it to end again. But instead of being bitter and broke and mad and huffing away from this industry, leaving it forever, I am still dearly in love with it, and I am here to help you navigate those ups and downs, to give you the reality of this industry and to help you out when these slings and arrows come your way as well. So I know a lot of you out there are doing background work, extra work, and there's a lot of shame in this industry around background work, but I have a few things to say about that. First of all, if you've never been on a big set, you better get your butt to a big set before you actually have real responsibilities like lines and hitting your mark on that day. I feel like even if you're doing PA work, you need to get on a set to see how it actually works. You don't want to learn on the job unless you're 11 or 12 years old, because you're going to look like such an amateur. You don't want to go in and see that eye of the dragon, which is that's how I refer to the camera, because it always looks like this great big beast to me that just wants to devour me and eat out my soul. And if you're not ready for that, it can throw you as an actor. So I don't understand where this negativity comes from about being a background actor. I did background work at the beginning of my career, and a lot of other famous actors have done background work. Ben Affleck and Matt Damon have been very vocal about the fact that they've done background. Jackie Chan, Bruce Willis, Marilyn Monroe, James Dean did background work. Megan Fox, Renee Zellweger, John Wayne, Clint Eastwood, Sylvester Stallone, and even Brad Pitt. He was like a party goer, preppy guy at Fight, was paid $38 for his role in 1987's Less Than Zero. So if Brad Pitt started out as a background actor and got to where he is today, you know, there's something to be said for getting that knowledge on set and moving forward. Now, you don't want to get stuck in that world. I do think that once you've done it for a while and you know what's going on, if you stay there, because the hours are so long and the schedule is so demanding, you won't be able to be in class and you won't be able to really work on your career. So make sure that you're, balancing that fine line. And there's something also to be said that once you're a working actor, you definitely want to stop doing background work, because if you go in and you do background work on, let's just pick a random show like Jane the Virgin, 2 weeks later you book a one-line co-star and you go in and the AD is going to be like, hey, you worked on this show 2 weeks ago, we can't use you, and they may fire you. And I know that actually happened with an actor on a show. They had done background work and then they booked a co-star. And the AD, I'm not going to say the name of the actor or the show, but the AD was like, hey, you've already been established in this world. I'm so sorry. And that actor was replaced. So you have to be careful. That is why your agents don't want you doing background work, because they're afraid of something like that happening. But at the start of your career, it can be such a great learning experience, and don't let anybody put you down for wanting to take your craft seriously and be on a big set. Now, if you are on one of these sets and you do get bumped, which means you go from being a background actor to an actor that has a couple of lines. It's very exciting when that happens. It does happen to some actors. Make sure that on your voucher, which is the piece of paper you fill out with your name and what your rate is, that the person who asked you to say those lines writes on that voucher that you have been bumped and that you are being compensated, especially for a union film, because your pay rate should go up and your union eligibility will start to happen, right? So you'll become eligible to join the union, and If you do not feel like they are properly taking care of that, even as a non-union actor, you get on your phone and you call SAG, and they will have a representation come out to you free of charge to make sure that you are being fairly compensated. So make sure you always take control of your career, guys. It's business. It's nothing personal. They'll see you as a professional if you handle that in a non-emotional go, well, you don't even have to tell them. Don't even tell them you're calling SAG. Be like, oh, okay, you know what? Let me run to the restroom real quick. Call SAG, ask them what you should do, and then proceed from there. Don't make a big deal of it. If they're like, oh, don't worry about it, we got you. Just go and quietly call SAG yourself. If you have an agent or manager at the time, you definitely want to inform them as well. I am currently working on a short film right now, and it's something I am producing myself and starring in, and I have a director attached. And I began to see a couple people for auditions. And something really struck me that it doesn't seem like actors know to do that I want to drive home with everybody out there. Do not end the scene. Ending the scene is not your job in an audition, and ending the scene is also not your job on set. You stay in that moment you've created after your last line. You're still there. You're still standing in the scene, staring at that person that you were talking to, waiting for them to reply with whatever emotion you were going through at that time. And the casting director will end the scene, or the director will end the scene. Now, sometimes you're going to have a moment of inspiration where you're going to want and you're going to be compelled to say something. And this tends for me to happen in comedy. Well, something really funny will just come to my mind and I'll just say it. And it always gets a great reaction, even if it wasn't really funny, because what they're going to know is that you are always going to keep giving and giving and giving and giving and giving as an actor and showing your range and willing to just keep going. And there are directors out there that will just keep running tape, making actors even to the point of being uncomfortable, just waiting for them to continue the scene, just to see what kind of gold they can mine from those actors' subconscious and the work that they've put into those characters, to see what they can get out to enrich the script. So it's never your job to end the scene. It's the director and the casting director's job. So you don't say thank you. You don't look at the camera. You don't look at them. You stay in the moment until they say thank you or they say cut. I am always talking to you guys about branding and knowing what kind of actor you are and the types of shows that you feel like you could be right on. And I've always felt that I am so perfect for The Walking Dead. My personality is that I love apocalyptic stories. I feel very attracted to them. I'm always thinking about how I would survive if something crazy happened. As an actor, I love getting dirty and sweaty and just that kind of really naturalistic place. I do know how to use a firearm, which is used a lot on set, and I love the show and I love what they do with the show. And so I just found out that AMC is planning a third Walking Dead series. Now, for those of you who are sick and tired of The Walking Dead, you're probably rolling your eyes right now. But tell me this, if the casting director called you and they were like, would you like to star in the third series of The Walking Dead? Would you really say no? I would hope not, because the fans of that show are rabid. They love it. There's such a community I see built around it. I've been able to audition for Walking Dead before. In fact, I actually got to audition for a really, really large role, and it was so amazing just to be considered for one of the main characters of the show of just a few seasons ago, that I was so happy just to audition. And so what I'm going to do is I am going to stalk this third series of The Walking Dead. I already know who the showrunner is. That means the main writer on the show and the guy who's creating the show. I'm going to see if I can figure out who's going to be the casting director of this show. And I am going to take some new headshots here in the next couple weeks. And one of the shots that I'm going to take is going to be a very Walking Dead headshot. It's going to have the same color palette for the clothes in the background, the same kind of, emotion that you really see on that show of like these characters are so tragically pained, but there's just that little spark of hope, everything that I can do to try to fit myself into that world. And I'm going to do a couple different looks that are also on that vein, that post-apocalyptic, natural, no makeup kind of look. And I am going to start hitting up that office. I will send them a postcard when I think they may be starting to bring in people for casting. I will follow their Twitter feed and their Instagram feed to see if there's any way that I can very lightly engage on there. You never want to say, hey, call me and I'm perfect for this, but maybe I will go shoot, actually I am shooting a film soon, so I will tag them as soon as I can get some footage out, in my new footage, whatever I need to do to kind of very gently, without being a crazy actor, maybe get me in, on the minds of these casting directors. Now, I don't think I'm at the level yet necessarily that I would be considered for a series regular, but when they start booking those recurring guest stars and co-stars, that's where I am at. And I've booked recurring co-stars before, so I know I can book them again. That is the type of character I want to be considered for, because if I go in and kill it, maybe I'll get bumped up for series regular. And you should be realistic about where you are in the industry, right? Where are you? What have you done before? What will they trust you with? And I have a resume that shows that you can trust me with a recurring character. So like, okay, we can trust her with that. We can put her into this. And then maybe, fingers crossed, the writers will love me. They'll want to keep writing for me. And then I get bumped up. Again, the show's not even having auditions yet. So I'm thinking very far ahead here and dreaming very far ahead here. But I wanted you to see how I view a show and how I come about trying to get myself considered for that show. Something else I'm going to do is let my representatives know, like, hey, I am very, very interested in this show. So if there's anything I can do, any networking event that you hear of, any sort of headshot that you think would work, what do you think I should do to try to help get on this casting director's radar? Because it's your agent's job to know casting directors and to know what they like and how they like to be approached and what kind of actors they like to work with. So if I find out that casting director loves actors who do theater, I might just need to throw up a one-woman show and start inviting them. Well, don't throw it up, because you want to definitely do something that's really good and high quality. But you're getting my gist here, and that's the type of ambition and motivation that I have. That's how hungry I am. And I just hope it inspires you to figure out ways that you can start really chasing down the shows that you feel that you may be right for. Okay, guys, I hope you find my episodes helpful. If you have any questions, email me at hollywoodactorsguide@gmail.com. If you love the show but you don't have any questions, please rate and review me on Apple Podcasts. It'll help me, be able to afford to maybe make these episodes a little bit longer and a little bit more often and more in depth with some really awesome guests. I've actually had a couple people reach out to me wanting to be on my show that I think are very insightful. So we'll have them coming up in the next couple weeks. Meantime, you can follow my personal account on Instagram at Jennifer Lynn Warren. You can follow the Hollywood Actors Guide Instagram account at Hollywood Actors Guide. And I will also occasionally on Facebook post some articles or some inspirational things on there I think you guys might find to be relevant. So any place you want to go, but most importantly, subscribe, like, and share the podcast and break a leg out there, guys. And remember, you are not alone.